So before I explain how Qrelia was built, I need to explain where the idea came from. Because Qrelia did not begin with a business plan, it did not begin with investors, a development team, or a perfectly designed strategy. It began with two parts of my life that have been developing separately for years: hospitality and technology. My interest in technology started long before I became a software developer. Even as a child, I was fascinated by electronics. I wanted to understand how things worked, what was happening behind the screen, and how one component communicated with another. How something that looked simple from the outside could contain an entire system underneath. That curiosity never disappeared. But my professional life initially took me in a different direction: hospitality. Right, so a bit about my hospitality backgrounds. Between years 2015 and 2017, I was living in Amsterdam. After moving to the United Kingdom in 2017, I continued building my career in the hotels. I worked at the reception, I supervised teams, I dealt with the guests, complaints, reservations, room service, restaurant operations, and all the small problems that happen inside a hotel every single day. Hospitality taught me something incredibly important. A hotel is not just a building. It is a network of people, departments, systems, and decisions that all have to work together. And when even one part of that network fails, the guest notices. The operational problem. From the outside, hotel service can appear effortless. A guest asks for something and it arrives. But behind the simple interaction, there may be a receptionist answering a telephone, writing down an order, checking a menu, contacting the kitchen, contacting the bar, confirming the room number, processing a payment, and then trying to keep the guest informed. There are dozens of opportunities for delay, confusion, and human error. Working inside hospitality allows me to see those problems directly. Not as abstract business problems, as real situations involving real guests and busy members of staff. And I was constantly thinking, there must be a better way to do this. So in 2020, Karen asked me to build a room service application for a Mercury Nottinghamshire Route hotel. It was a native Android application that guests downloaded from Google Play. At reception, guests could scan a QR code, but the QR code was not used to place the order. Its purpose was simply to take the guest to the application's Google Play page so they could download it into their phone. Once the app was installed, the guest opened it and manually entered their room number. They could then browse the available room service items and place their order through the application. The system was built specifically for that hotel and for the way its room service operation worked at the time. It was created at Karin's request, and although it was much simpler than the technology I would build years later, it was an important moment. It was the first time I had transformed a real hospitality requirement into a functioning application that could be used by hotel guests. Years later, Karen remembered what I had built, and that earlier project would eventually become the reason he contacted me again. Teaching myself software development. In 2019, I began teaching myself software development seriously. There was no development department waiting for me, no formal team guiding every step. I learned by building, by breaking things, by finding out why they had broken, and then rebuilding them properly. I learned C#, ASP.NET Core, databases, front-end development, server infrastructure, security, real-time communication, and integrations. And eventually, how to take an idea from a blank screen and turn it into a complete working system. The learning process was relentless. Every project exposed another gap in my knowledge. Every solution created a more difficult question, but that was also what made it addictive. Software development gave me the ability to look at a real-world problem and construct an actual solution, not just describe what somebody else should build. Not just present an idea, build it, test it, deploy it, and watch people use it. And improve it based on what they actually happened. Hospitality and software connect. Over time, hospitality and software stopped feeling like two separate careers. They began to connect. Hospitality gave me an understanding of the operational problem. Software gave me the tools to solve it. I understood what guests expected because I had spent years speaking to them. I understood what staff needed because I had worked alongside them. I understood the pressure of a busy reception desk, a kitchen during a service, and manager trying to maintain standards while dealing with 10 different problems at once. That experience changed how I approached development. I was not interested in creative technology simply because it looked impressive. The technology had to be useful. It had to work during a busy service. It had to be understandable to somebody who had never seen it before. And it had to reduce work rather than create another complicated system for the staff to manage. My professional development. By 2022, software development had become a professional part of my life. I worked as a software developer, continued building independent projects, and kept expanding my technical knowledge. But the hospitality mindset remains. Whenever I entered a hotel, a restaurant, or a bar, I automatically noticed the systems. How orders were taken, how information moved between departments, where staff were losing time, where the guest experience depended on somebody remembering to pass on a message, and where technology had been introduced badly, creating more complexity instead of solving it. I started to understand that the strongest advantage I had was not simply knowing how to write a code. It was understanding both sides. I understood the environment because I had worked inside it. And I understood the technology because I had taught myself how to build it. That combination would eventually become the foundation of everything that followed. Software means electronics. My interest in electronics also returned. Software did not have to remain trapped inside a laptop or mobile phone. It could communicate with physical devices, lights, displays, sensors, buttons. Entire environments could react to what was happening inside a digital system. That opened another door. Hospitality technology could become functional but also visible. It could communicate information instantly. It could create atmosphere. It could connect software, staff, guests, and physical spaces into one experience. And at that stage, these were still separate experiments. Different ideas, different projects, different skills being developed over many years. But they were being to converge. Garin contacts me. Then in January 2026, somebody from my early hospitality career contacted me, Garin Dart. I had first worked with Garin at the Mercury Nottingham Sherwood in 2018 to 2020. Years later, he remembered the room service system I had experimented with. He was now involved with Le Pommier Hotel and Restaurant in Guernsey. And Le Pommier had a problem. They needed a modern way for guests to order food and drinks from different areas of the hotel. Bedrooms, the restaurant, the bar, outside areas. Different locations required different menus. Some menus needed to appear only on particular times. Orders had to reach the correct members of staff immediately. And the system had to work around the actual operation of the hotel. Not force the hotel to change everything simply to accommodate the software. The opportunity. Karen did not contact a large software agency. He contacted me. He remembered something I had built years earlier and believed I could create what Le Pommier needed. At the beginning, there was no SaaS platform, no subscription model, no automated venue onboarding, no ambient device, no advanced analytics. There was simply a hotel with a real operational requirements and an opportunity to build the right solution. The first requirements. I opened a notebook. I began writing down the requirements. QR code ordering, menu based on the guest area and location, time-limited menus, food and drink modifiers, a stuff receiver, real-time order updates, administrative controls, secure pricing, a system designed around the venue rather than generic online shop. But they contained the beginning of something much larger. Something that would bring together my hospitality experience, my years of software development, and my lifelong fascination with electronics. It would begin as a system for one hotel in Guernsey, but it would not remain that way.